What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hoop State Preview, and on this edition, we will be breaking down the 2-5-2 tip-off at Greenfield School November 18th and 19th. I mean, what else could y'all ask for? We got some high-level talent coming to the 2-5. Rod, our guy here, put it together. I mean, what an event this is going to be.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. First of all, it's an honor and pleasure to be back home in my hometown, hosting an event. Looking forward to it. It's a great slate of teams, great schedule both nights. I'm just ready to get to it, man.
Definitely. We'll break it all down for y'all right now.
So Friday, November 18th, the event kicks off with the Burleson School versus Crossroads Christian at 5:30. Then at 7 p.m., First Flight High School takes on Millbrook High School. And at 8:30, the nightcap, the host school, Greenfield, plays Cape Fear Academy. Saturday, November 19th, the event kicks off with a girls' game between Greenfield and Wilson Prep. At 12:30, we have Northwood Temple versus Camden County. At 2 p.m., we have Crossroads Christian versus First Flight High School. So at 3:30, we have Wayne Country Day versus Northwood Pittsboro. At 5 p.m., Millbrook High School takes on the Burleson School. At 6:30, Farmville Central takes on Cape Fear Academy. And in the nightcap, we have a crosstown rivalry, Wilson Prep versus the host school, Greenfield. Let's jump right into what we think is going to be the game of the week. It'll actually be the last game of the event, the crosstown rivalry between Greenfield and Wilson Prep. Miles, how do you see this game going?
There's a lot of dynamics at play. The fact that it's at Greenfield, it's going to be, the place is going to be rocking. It's going to be booming in there. The student versus the teacher. You have Rob Salter, who's one of the best coaches in the state of North Carolina, in the history of North Carolina high school basketball, coaching against one of the best players that ever played for him, in Anthony Atkinson. So they're both championship programs. You have a lot of talent on both sides. Hampton Evans is starting to come into his own. He had a really good summer with Team Loaded. You have the young point guard Kobe Edwards, who's trying to make a name for himself in the state. Probably one of the top young true point guards in the state. So I think that the dynamic is going to be interesting, not only because of what's actually happening on the court, but everything that surrounds it from a big picture standpoint.
I think the first thing is it's so big for the city of Wilson to have those two monumental programs play against one another. They've both won state championships in the last 3 or 4 years, so to see that is awesome. For Wilson Prep, they're the two-headed monster. They got Brandon Anderson and David Ellis. Brandon Anderson was a lead guard last year. He had a really good year. Christian Battle was kind of the guy there, but Brandon Anderson, he's kind of stepping out his shadow now. Yeah. And David Ellis is a big, rugged guy, big, rugged forward. He rebounds the ball, rim protector as well. So it's going to be a high-level game because at the end of the day, these kids are all friends. They grew up together playing in rec leagues and AAU and things like that together. So this game is going to mean so much more on the court, and like I said, for the city of Wilson.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I'm excited for is just the environment in there, because we had a great slate of games leading into it, and then you have just the two best teams in the city duking it out in the most historical gym in the city, and it's going to be a great environment. I can't wait to be there. Absolutely. One of the other dynamics at play in this event is that this is the first weekend public schools can play regular season games that actually count. And Millbrook, a state championship contender in 4A, one of the blue bloods of North Carolina public school basketball, has 2 real tests early. They play First Flight on Friday nights. They got to deal with the barrage of threes, the Dobie brothers running up and down. And then they play TBS, a private school power defending state champion, on Saturday night. How do you think that this is going to prepare them for not only the season ahead, but just individual for the players being thrown into the fire right away?
So what I always tell people is championships are won early in the season because you build that camaraderie, you go through those things. Like right now, wins and losses matter, but they don't matter as much as they would matter in February.
I would say experiences matter more than wins and losses.
Right, and so you look at Millbrook team last year, they started slow. We saw what they did in the John Wall versus the TBS last year. But from that point, from Christmas on to the rest of the season, they were almost flawless, and they had a deep run in the playoffs. So you can see how early season tests kind of catapult your season. So
yeah, and one other question I have for you on the Millbrook topic, they have 2 very new but also very important players being inserted into their lineup via transfer in John Walker and Brandon Callahan. Both those players are probably going to flirt with averaging double figures and play key roles for that team. How important is it for them to really ingratiate themselves with their new teammates right away with 2 tough opponents right away?
So I think you kind of seen it earlier, them in the fall league with Jay and Brandon as well. They both had big moments with Millbrook so far. I think for them, it's just figuring out, learning how to play the Millbrook way, defense creating offense for Millbrook, and that's how they played for years. That's been a staple of Millbrook basketball. Jayen is a big-time scorer. He gets to his spots. great positional size as an athlete. And Callahan's probably one of the better scorers that we've seen in this region here. He had a big year with Garner last year. Just looking to see him bringing it over and being kind of that secondary role for Millbrook.
Definitely. I would probably consider, well, the TBS game, it's more of a toss-up. I would definitely consider Millbrook the favorite in the first flight game. The Dobie brothers can really play, though. And we've seen them, they both played well at the top 80 last week. We've seen them have big moments on big stages. What kind of opportunity is this for Isaac and Mason, the younger one, who I think has a chance to be one of the best players to ever come through first flight?
I think just for those two guys, they're fearless. That's what I love about them the most. Like, they don't care who's in front
They're
of
letting
them.
it fly.
They're going to let it fly. They're going to play their game. And honestly, in a big crowd, the big moments, they flourish. I mean, you think about last year in the MLK event in Kinston, how well they played in that game versus Southern Nash. So even versus Kinston last year in the Good Guys event. So they in big crowds and big moments, I think the Dobie brothers, they shine bright. So nothing new. It would be nothing new for them here.
100%. Hoop State player watch for the 252 tip-off. Rod, who's the one guy you're kind of tracking and looking forward to checking out this weekend?
Oh man, it's got to be Drake Powell from Northwood Pittsburgh, committed to the University of North Carolina. He kind of puts you in that mind of like a Jackie Manuel, Theo Pinson type role. That's the kind of role you're going to see him play at Carolina. One of the best on-ball defenders in the state of North Carolina. In the country, period. Locks up. I've seen him put a lot of people in straight jackets.
I was going to say, there are guys that he's shut down that we haven't seen other people shut down.
No, I definitely agree. And they're going to have a fun matchup against Wayne Country Day with guys like Jordan Cooper, Carlos Vasquez as well. Jordan Cooper's another guy that you want to kind of keep your eye on.
Electrifying.
He can put it on somebody's head really quick. So
yeah, and I want to give Drake a quick shout out too. The article that he wrote when he committed to Carolina was unbelievable. Go to Inside Carolina and check that out. Just an incredible player, incredible kid. Like, excited to see how he elevates his level over the course of the next year or two before he goes to Chapel Hill. So that's yours. I got Colt Langdon. I think we talked about it just now a little bit off camera. Like, they turned the corner after Christmas last year, and a huge reason behind that was the production spike we saw from Colt Langdon once they got into conference play. Colt has had a really, really good last 6 to 7 months where he's grown, he's gotten stronger, he's become more confident when he's taking it above the rim, and he's shooting the cover off the ball. Big-time lefty shot maker. And just how does he set the tone? Hey, this is Millbrook. I'm Colt Langdon. I'm the face of this thing, and we're going to run this thing.
I think Colt has kind of developed that mindset as that killer. Like, I'm the guy. I'm the one that's coming through. He does a really, really good job of getting to his spots and rising up. He's working on becoming more efficient as a scorer, and that's a natural progression for a kid his age.
Yeah,
like, we got to forget that he's only 15 years old.
Yeah, and he's a true degree. Like, he's not a reclass kid. So
right now, Colt's a big time talent, man. I'm looking forward to watching him play.
Yeah, it'll be a big time season for him, and this weekend could be the start of it. Farmville Central. I'm not going to say they had the dynasty interrupted, but there was a fork in the road for them with the way they lost that game last year to J.M. Robinson. And if we know Larry and Ja, like we know Larry and Ja, there's going to be a different level chip. Like, we're talking a ruffle on their shoulder coming into the season. What kind of energy do you expect the Jaguars to bring on night one of the 22-23 season?
A lot of defensive pressure, just up in your face. The defense creating their offense. This is a different type of Farmville team that we've seen in past years. Before, we saw the teams with Taquavion, Justin, Samaj. They were scoring 80, 90, running up and down. This team here is going to run as well too, but they create everything with their defense. On ball defensively, guys like Josh Short, Jaden Pitt, MJ Williams, Alex Moy, like all those guys, they just go get it. They're just a bunch of dogs. So, Cape Fear Academy is a good basketball team. And this is going to be a tough matchup for him because this is a team that's hungry and it's on a mission. And the mission starts in Wilson, North Carolina.
Nightcap. Big one. This is going to... You have to pick, Rod. You got to pick. You got to pick. We understand the dynamics at play. You're a hometown kid. We don't want your tires slashed. You don't want your legs snapped, whatever it is.
It wouldn't be that bad.
It's a 2-5. It could be that bad. Okay. Greenfield, Wilson Prep. Who you got, Bridges?
It's a tough matchup. It's a really even matchup.
I can see your brain Rolodexing through your head right now.
It's a really even matchup because, Greenfield's backcourt, Kobe Edwards and Matt Kirby, Keyshawn Atkinson. Those guys, they're experienced guys. Kobe's a young guy, but Wilson Prep losing Dayton Sutton was a big loss for them.
Yep.
Also losing Christian Battle to graduation is a big loss as well.
Yep.
To start the season, I'm gonna go.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of Hoop State Preview for the 252 tip-off going on November 18th and 19th at Greenfield School in Wilson, North Carolina. We cannot wait to see you there. If you can't make it for whatever reason, hoopstatelive.com has you covered for everything live and on demand. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to stay tuned with everything we have going on leading up to the 252 tip-off.